Louisiana draws international visitors too. This group of soybean processors from North Africa made the trip to West Baton Rouge Parish to visit Clayton Hurdle's farm. Hurdle grows.
The global agricultural landscape is currently in a state of unprecedented and profound change, and U.S. grain exports are undeniably at the very heart of this immense disruption. Amid escalating and persistent trade conflicts, volatile and unpredictable market dynamics, and complex, multifaceted geopolitical maneuvering, the future of American agriculture seems less certain and more precarious than ever before. Welcome viewers to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe, like my video and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next update. At Farmonaut, we recognize that a comprehensive and nuanced understanding of these multifaceted challenges is not merely a luxury. It is an absolute necessity for the survival, long-term resilience, and ultimate success of farmers, traders, and policymakers alike. This in-depth and meticulous analysis will explore the key factors fundamentally influencing U.S. grain exports, thoroughly examining how ongoing trade tensions, intense competitive pressures, and intricate international relations are fundamentally and irrevocably reshaping the entire global trade landscape for agricultural commodities. A fragile and fleeting trade truce in North America. Recent developments in North American agricultural trade have triggered intense and urgent discussions about the future of U.S. agricultural competitiveness. A temporary pause on the imposition of tariffs for Canadian and Mexican imports, announced with considerable fanfare on February 3, 2020, brought a fleeting but palpable sense of relief to North American grain producers and traders who had been struggling under the weight of previous trade disputes. This decision was a direct and immediate result of a series of commitments from the Canadian and Mexican governments to enhance border security, specifically addressing the U.S. government's long-standing concerns about illegal immigration and the persistent and dangerous flow of fentanyl into the United States. While seemingly a positive and constructive step forward, its foundations were inherently weak and its durability highly questionable. This brief moment of optimism was quickly and decisively tempered by a deep-seated and pragmatic skepticism from seasoned market analysts. Dan Boss, a prominent and highly respected leader at AgriSource Inc., expressed strong and well-founded doubts about the permanence of this tariff reprieve. He accurately and presciently predicted that these tariffs would likely return in a very short time frame, specifically within 30 to 45 days. Boss's reasoning was straightforward and deeply pragmatic. The underlying, deep-seated issues like fentanyl trafficking and border security are far too complex and deeply entrenched to be resolved quickly or easily. Furthermore, he argued, these measures were unlikely to fully address the broader trade imbalances and concerns that initially led to the tariffs in the first place. This insightful perspective highlighted the fundamental fragility of the trade truce and the persistent, unresolved underlying tensions that continued to shape U.S. trade policy with its closest and most important neighbors. The significance of Canada and Mexico as export markets for U.S. agricultural products simply cannot be overstated. These two countries collectively represent a staggering $60 billion in U.S. agricultural exports, making them the most vital, reliable, and essential markets for American farmers. The mere possibility of these tariffs being reinstated poses a significant and immediate threat to this critical trade relationship, particularly for U.S. grain producers who have already been struggling under immense pressure. They have already faced the immense challenge of losing market share in other key markets, most notably China, due to previous and long-standing trade tensions. The potential disruption of these established and essential trade flows could have severe, far-reaching, and devastating consequences for U.S. farmers, who rely heavily on these markets to move their products, maintain profitability, and sustain their livelihoods. The U.S.-China trade war, a seismic and lasting shift. The escalating trade tensions between the United States and China have had profound, far-reaching, and seemingly lasting implications for American agriculture. The aggressive tariff measures implemented by the Trump administration in 2018 triggered a swift, powerful, and retaliatory response from China. This led to a substantial and immediate loss of market access for U.S. agricultural producers, fundamentally and irrevocably altering global agricultural trade patterns and forcing a comprehensive re-evaluation of long-standing and deeply ingrained trade relationships. One of the most significant and enduring outcomes of this trade war has been a dramatic and arguably permanent shift in China's sourcing of agricultural products, particularly soybeans. Brazil, a major global competitor to the U.S. in soybean production, has gained a massive and now seemingly permanent foothold in the Chinese market. This fundamental shift has not been limited to soybeans. Brazil has also made substantial inroads into the corn exports to China, seizing a significant portion of a market that once belonged almost exclusively to American farmers. The diversification of China's agricultural supply sources presents a complex and formidable challenge for U.S. producers who are now scrambling to regain a lost market share that may never fully return. This dramatic change underscores how quickly and dramatically global supply chains can be rerouted in response to political conflict, creating new economic winners and losers and leaving a trail of disruption in their wake. Geopolitical chess in the Panama Canal, a strategic showdown. The strategic and geopolitical significance of the Panama Canal has also come into sharp focus during these intense trade tensions. Following remarks by President Donald Trump about the possibility of regaining control of the canal, subsequent diplomatic efforts, including a high-level visit by a U.S. Secretary of State, appeared to successfully dissuade Panama from renewing key infrastructure agreements with China. These agreements were a part of China's ambitious Belt and Road Initiative, highlighting the intricate and complex geopolitical complexities surrounding this crucial and strategically important maritime passage. The Panama Canal is a pivotal conduit for U.S. grain exports, serving as a vital and irreplaceable artery for transporting agricultural products from the American heartland to global markets. Control over this strategic waterway is deemed essential not only for maintaining the efficiency and competitiveness of U.S. grain exports but also for ensuring military readiness in the Pacific region. The intertwining of agricultural trade and national security interests vividly illustrates the multifaceted nature of these complex international relationships, where a seemingly isolated trade dispute can quickly escalate into a matter of geopolitical strategy, affecting everything from global food security to military power and economic stability. The unending challenge for American agriculture. The narrative of U.S. grain exports is a complex and intricate tapestry woven with threads of economic policy, intricate international relations, and powerful market forces. The brief tariff reprieve with North American partners was a glimmer of hope, but its transience and ultimate failure to hold serves as a stark and sobering reminder of the persistent tensions that undergird global trade. The fallout from the U.S.-China trade war has left an indelible and lasting mark on American agriculture, forcing a re-evaluation of long-standing trade relationships and exposing deep-seated vulnerabilities in a globalized supply chain that was once considered stable. The dramatic rise of Brazil as a dominant agricultural exporter to China, and the strategic importance of waterways like the Panama Canal, demonstrate that the challenges facing U.S. farmers extend far beyond simple supply and demand dynamics. They are a direct consequence of a world where economic and political power are constantly in flux. As American agriculture moves forward, a deeper and more nuanced understanding of these interconnected factors will be absolutely crucial for navigating an increasingly complex and competitive international marketplace. The future of U.S. grain exports will depend not only on the quality of the harvest but also on the shrewdness of its diplomatic and trade policies in a rapidly changing world.